Conversations. I'm Himanshi Chaudhary, a third year learner at Dharmshastra National University. And today we have with us Govind Bali sir, and we are going to discuss upon the internship illusion, the shiny thing that you put on your CVs. Hello, sir.
Hi, Mansi, how are you?
I'm great, sir. How are you?
All good.
Okay. So today let's start with an icebreaker question. That's very fun question. What's the one moment during your internship where you thought, I can't believe I'm doing this for free?
Well, a lot of things. You end up doing a lot of things during your internship, which certainly are for free, but you get a lot of intellect out of it. You get a lot of intellectual property out of it. It's not being once, it's been always. So rather than thinking whether it was free or not, what I got to know was that I'm earning a lot of knowledge and a lot of procedural work that I might not have got to learn if I would not have been working at a particular place.
All right. So we have often seen that law students are fighting for a particular internships in tier one firms for them. So how do you go about it? Like, should a child approach tier one firms or smaller firms? Is there actually a difference?
See, any place you go, if you're able to learn, that place is good. But smaller the office, more the work. So basically, if it's a law firm, there are going to be a lot of associates working on a particular thing. Who are time bars, who have to do everything within, say, 1 hour, 2 hours. They are being billing by the minute. So the idea of learning may get reduced to a certain extent. But when it comes to litigation offices, small chambers, or even NGOs, you get a lot of work to do and a lot of learning to do. So it is always preferable if you're planning to get into litigation and you're planning to learn drafting and basic skills, you should go to small offices. By small, I do not mean by the size of them. Small offices, I mean where there's one or two individuals working a lot of cases together. Any place where you're getting to get to read the files, draft the files, and make a connection with the files is a good place to enter.
All right. So as we know, internships are often called the building blocks of a legal career. Did any of your internships actually help you feel like you were building something, or it was more like fumbling through the rumble?
See, you always learn something. The only thing is you have to don't sleep in the internship. So what generally happens is people go to the internship just to get a certificate out of it. That's not going to help you. What's going to help you is whether you learn how to read the case laws, whether you learn how to read the files. You know, when you just research on a case law, there are certain ways you need to know how to read them. You need to know how to go about them, how to make a procedure out of them, how to make a judgment look viable to your case. So those are the things that you can learn at the internship. I was interning with one of the AORs, Sachin Mittal sir. So I learned how research worked out. I was interning with Prashanto Sen sir. He's a senior advocate now. And when I was there at his office, every day I used to read so much that sometimes even associates used to tell me, "Why are you doing so much? You're just
Mhm.
interning." So it's basically how much you want to learn and how you want to learn. That's what the internship basically means. And no internship is useless, to be very honest. In every internship, you would learn something or the other. But certainly, you should be giving enough time to the internship to learn. It cannot be that it's not going to be your dreamy internship wherein you're going to say, "Oh, I got the cafe coffee day coffee at the office, so my internship is done with." More ragda at internships, better the lawyer you are.
Okay. So the internships that they show in the movies is basically not true. The CCD coffee kept beside you with your iPad in your hand,
Not
sitting.
really. So you need to understand that uh, we are not living in a world of suits. Better Call Saul
Exactly.
is a better example. So in the end, in India, most of the criminal lawyers are solved. So you better call Bali than going to the any other place. That's how you can say. Or there is an Instagram page by called Better Call Someone. I don't know what the lawyer's name is. So basically, the practicality of law is not about what you see in suits, where corporate offices are built up and a lot of whips and fancies are there. You're getting a secretary to yourself, two, three paralegal workers working for you. That happens in certain firms, but to get to that place also you have to work hard. Now, having a CCTV coffee or a Saket Kotka coffee, both are similar. In the end, you're working and you're getting your dose of caffeine. But what is more important is how are you going to justify the very fact that you are going there to intern and not learning anything and coming back to your college? That is the main question.
So, while you were in college, were there any seniors or faculty who helped you get the internships, or was it more like figure it out yourself?
See, basically, internships are only figure it out yourself. But, and in our case, I was the first or the second batch of my college when we did law. So we did not have an internship cell at that particular point of time. Nowadays, people from my university, GD Goenka University, are doing wonders, and they're going to a lot of big firms and chambers to intern. But certainly, teachers did guide us that how to apply for internships. They also helped us get into some of the very big research institutes. Like I wanted to do an internship on international law, so I was given an opportunity to go to ISIL, that is Indian Society of International Law. That was through my teacher. Then our dean used to tell us how to apply, what is the procedure to apply. And at our times, I do not know how many of my batchmates were on LinkedIn that time, but I was using LinkedIn back in that time. So I secured one or two internships through LinkedIn also, which is an important tool as of now. But certainly, you need to know how to approach someone for an internship. You can just not write to that person, I am so and so, I want to intern, tell me when should I join. I've
Yeah.
got those kinds of messages, and those kind of messages do not look professional at all.
So, what do you think is more important for securing internships on your own? Like, is it good grades in your CV, the connections, the extracurriculars? What is it basically?
See, it depends. Now, a lot of people say that without a reference, you cannot get internships. From past 5 years, I've been getting interns, and I've got no intern out of a connection or reference. What I see is not the CV, but how the person is going to behave. And according to me, everyone should be given a chance to intern. But certainly, when high stakes are involved in bigger companies, like for example, you're working for a very uh, top-notch law firm in the country, the stakes are very high. The stakes are around 3 to 4 CR per minute at times because they are doing such big deals.
Mm.
So in that, they do look at the way which college you're coming from, what is your potential, what you've done or not, and they generally take people from fourth and fifth year so that they can see where they have interned before. In my case, I take children from any year of the school, whether they're first year of law school or fifth year of law school. Obviously, the way I give them task is different. Task allocation for a first year would be much different than the task allocation for a class fifth year student.
Mm.
So that differs, but yes, connections do matter in higher law firms. Sometimes, you might be interning with the Attorney General of India. So certainly there must be some way to get there, and those ways are not going to be just writing to them. There has to be some followed procedure there. But when Chandrachud sir was the Chief Justice, he had an internship program with him, which was an open application program. So you used to apply for it and go there. So there are a lot of judicial internships also which people apply for and get through.
And how do you basically stand out on the sea of applications? Like, for example, you can only take up to 4 interns, but you have 10 applications of interns. How do you go about
See,
that?
basically it depends. One is first come, first serve. Second is my simple question is whether you want to be into litigation or not. If the answer is yes, I tell them, okay, you can come. If they are into corporate law and they want to do corporate practice or corporate compliance at large, then I tell them to go to some other place where the corporate practice is at large involved. Because my firm is totally a litigation firm and an advisory firm. So we do not have a lot of corporate, advisory as such. What we are doing with is a lot of corporate compliance, corporate litigation we are doing, but not typical desk job that corporates do.
Okay.
So I tell them that you go to a place where you can learn corporate law. At my place, you can learn how to be a good lawyer. You can learn how to draft well. You can learn how to go in the courts. But I cannot teach you how to basically talk to a corporate client in a high stake meeting as of now because we are not handling that at large. We are dealing with the problems that corporates face and solve them. But we are not doing typical corporate work.
Okay. What's the most valuable thing you learned during an internship that you still use today?
That even a minute's delay can turn your client's life imprisonment into a death penalty. And every minute and second that you are putting on a case is important for your client. And I also learned another thing that you need to learn to read the books. You might have the world's best research softwares. You might have the best AI solutions with you to find out laws for you, analyzing your documents. But what the books give you, or what the commentaries give you, or what the written case laws give you, are not available on the online portals in such a vast manner. So the theory has to be learned so that your concepts are clear. You are able to give a valid and logical argument to go through the whole procedure, and so that you are able to gently pass through the sale and win the case for your client.
Okay. Was there ever a moment of panic when you were interning? Ever submitted a wrong document with a typo that could change the entire meaning of the document or
See,
something like that?
the two internships that I remember, one is with AOR Sachin Mittal sir and one is with Prashanto Sen sir. Anytime and every time we give them a draft, they used to mark it all red, telling us what to improve. That is what mentors do.
Yeah.
So you do not have to panic. You are at the learning stage and you're going to learn with every second. There are times when we used to find out, a lot of researches on certain topics and they used to not be relevant to the case and we used to do it again. There is no harm in learning and doing it again and again till the time you get to know what the right thing is.
As we have seen generally that there's a notion that the bigger the firm is that you're interning, the better placements you get. Based on your CV, that you can show that, oh, I'm interning in a tier one law firm, so I can get a better placement.
See, that again depends what you plan to do in life. If you plan to be into corporates, maybe that would help. In litigation law firms, nobody basically wants to know where you intern. What they need to know is how you draft. What is your practical experience with respect to filings? How well can you handle the court work? How well can you draft? What speed you are drafting at? And what is your understanding of the laws when it comes to practicality and the practical practice and procedure? How much do you know of it? So, placements in law is not a very common thing to happen. It's a professional course. You're learning to be a lawyer and a professional. So, looking for internships altogether is a bit different thing. So, maybe when you have to go to bigger law firms, so you get pre-placement offers if you have interned with them. It gives you an upper edge, but that depends on what you want to do. If in the end you want to litigate, those big law firms' experience will not help you much in getting a placement because the litigating lawyer is going to look at your skills rather than the place you learned those skills at or the place you interned at.
You know, did you ever, if you ever done that, corporate wala internship, was there ever a moment where people feel, or from your friends or anyone, that the office chai wala knew more than the inner workings of the firm?
See, whether it is the chaiwala or the clerk of the office of any office knows much more than anybody there. They are the ones who are handling all the files. They know which client is coming in. They know which client is going out. The office clerk or the office boy, who's the pantry boy or the basically assistant to the partner, is basically the individual who's doing anything and everything for the office. He's the one, or they are the one on whom the office is standing. And the most that somebody knows is office boss's driver. He knows which case is going to come up. He knows which case the boss is not interested in. He knows which case the boss does not want to really go after. And these two people are the pillars of a law office, the clerk and the person who's basically being with the boss every day. Because without a clerk in the office or without a person managing the office, you will be doomed just finding the files. No matter how organized you are, you cannot remember where you kept the file every time because there are a lot of files. Then there is something known as library management. So a lot of books are going to be here and there, which you will not be able to find. Then preparing of cause lists for the next day is what the clerks do. They also know how to do the filings. Most of the filings are done by the clerks. They are not done by the lawyers at large. So in Supreme Court, all the filings are done by the clerks. In a High Court, mostly clerks help in the filings. So the clerk of the office is one of the most important elements.
Was there ever a time in your internship where you were, a little chill, laid back, like, yeah, today I don't want to work. I just want to relax a little.
See, that was in my last year. So I worked at a place called Director General of Hydrocarbon. So we were given mostly works about policy analysis. So for me, policy analysis used to be very easy to do thing. As in the policies were laid down already and we had to take out the main points. So we were able to do it in a shorter period of time and we had a lot of free time. But that then also it was not like a free time kind of thing, or we do not want to do anything. But it was a better, easier side of it. But in litigation, there is never a laid back time. And what I've also realized is that people say that we are not being paid for the internships. So the person under whom you're interning, he's giving you his intellectual property first. He's teaching you and making competition for his own self
Mhm.
in the end. And then, as a first year law student, as a second year law student, what is it that you're going to give back to the office is the question. When you're working somewhere, you're working at a place, say, place A. Are you going to do anything substantial which is going to bring any finance to the company or any monetary benefits to the firm that you're working at? The answer is generally no, because you do not know the law. You do
Yeah.
not know how to draft. You're not going to be a value addition. They're trying to teach you. So maybe in your third or fourth year, they can give you a internship wherein they might pay you and take some benefit from you and give you some benefits in return, wherein you can learn and in the end join the firm. That is why generally fifth year students, when they're interning, they get a small stipend. Whether that stipend is monetary or not, whether that stipend is very good in nature or not, is a different question altogether. But it is not that they are not being given. People do give them if they're of any value. So the day you become valuable for an office, they will never want you to go to some other place. So bring in that value and you will be paid.
Okay, let's talk about the daily grind. How did you keep yourself motivated during those long, boring days when you felt when nothing was exciting? Like you felt that this is not exciting enough. There's
See, law
sometimes a
was
case.
never boring, to be very honest. Because in law schools, what we do is read and just go through the theoretical part of it. In practicality, you realize that there is no re-life, there is no retest. Once that order is passed, you just have one option of going to the higher court. You cannot just go back to the lower court and tell them, sir, गलती हो गई, मैं पढ़ के नहीं आया था. Or you cannot just fill a supplementary form and say, okay, fine, I'll give it again. I'm going to pass this time. So that responsibility is there. And I generally tell people who do 5 years law, 3 years law, कि 5 साल के बाद तुम वकालतनामा साइन करोगे और किसी की जान तुम्हारे हाथ में है. That is the amount of responsibility that a lawyer or a law student is going to hold. So, it's always exciting and full of burdens also. You have the burden to perform, you have the burden to give your best, and in the end, the client does not understand how law works. They will keep on asking you, डेट क्यों पड़ रही है, इतनी जल्दी क्यों नहीं हो रहा है. All you can do is promise your client that you are not going to take any unnecessary dates. That's all you can do. The procedure has to be followed. Without the procedure, no justice can be done. We are not living in a banana republic where cutting hands of a thief is justice. We are not living in a banana republic where if somebody has stolen money, you just bury him down and give him lashes. We are in a democratic nation with penal codes in place, with procedural codes in place, with civil laws in place, and we have to follow the procedure.
If you could go back to your first internship, what's one thing you would do differently, knowing what you do now?
See, I would not have really thought of going there then. If I knew that I'm going to set up a law firm and get into practice, I would not have gone into studying international law at large. But that internship helped me. I became one of the youngest guys to fight one of the cases at UN for United Nations trades. So that particular thing helped me so much that I could have gone through it. Now going through it taught me about international law, gave me a wider perspective about human rights, gave me a much wider perspective about the Palestine issue, the Gaza Strip. So, these things help you a lot. And, you cannot redo things in life. So, hypothetically speaking, I might have asked them to teach me more about it, or maybe taught me about how to do international litigations at that particular point of time. But, there is no re-going or redoing it.
Precisely. What advice would you give to a first year learner who is just going to, intern in a firm or under a advocate, let's say,
Don't go
or
to a
NGO?
hundred firms.
Okay.
What people are doing today is that they have got 6 to 7 internship certificates in 1 year. That's not going to help you. That shows that you're not stable. You are just looking after the number of certificates that you're going to get. Another priority which comes to me is if I get a person who's interned in 7 tier 1 firms and one person who's interned in one tier 3 firm or a litigation office continuously for 3 years or three continuous internships, I choose that person because that person knows what happened to the case. For example, today a person joins my office. A case starts today. It would finish after 2.5 years, and in those years, he's learned the fate of that case. So, you know the practical aspects of it, you know how the drafting was done, you were part of the filing, you interacted with the client, and when the order came, you were there at the office, indirectly or directly. So you were involved in a particular case and you know how the office functions. Going at 10 different places might give you certificates, but it will not give you the stability of learning.
So, the stability in an internship really matters when people are looking out for the person they want to, hire.
Depends. I mean, some people might go with the names of the firms that people have interned with. I do not do that. I like the idea of stability. People who have worked continuously at one place or one field are the ones that I generally tend to hire.
Okay. If internships are stepping stones, do you feel like they've helped you move closer to what you want to be, or they were just part of the slog,
No, they are
the kind of
they are the
internship?
reason I never worked under someone and straight away went into establishing my own office because my internships were long enough and taught me enough. I knew how to draft, I knew how to file, I knew what the procedures were already, and that is why the internships actually help you. They are not just stepping stones; they shape you into what you are. If I would not have interned religiously, going at 3:30 in the afternoon from my office to 1.5 hours of distance to Prachandu sir's office, coming back at around 10:30, reaching my room because of the distance, I might not have been establishing an office on my own. I might have worked with someone for another 5-10 years and then done it. But those 1.5 years of religiously going there and learning the practice, procedure, and research taught me a lot. And what that taught me, that internships taught me the practicality of law. They taught me courts are not like तारीख पे तारीख. Courts are not like कि जज सा फाड़ दो कानून की ये किताबें. Law is much different. Law is much practical. Law has got a lot of reasoning in it. Law has got a lot of procedure in it and a lot of peculiarity to it.
Okay. What is the one skill that you learned during your internship that was maybe not useful in law, but for, daily survival?
I learned how to be street smart. You cannot be too much to the book if you want to be a lawyer. You need to know how to get things done. Now, whether you're holding the ear like this or you're holding the ear like this, in the end, the ear has to be held. You
Okay.
need to get work done. That's what I learned through law and the internship. Second is there are a lot of situations in which you have to find solutions. Law is not just about the books that you have, it's about finding solutions. It is about how you are giving respite to your client. It is about how you're going to make things work out.
Uh, what do you think? Like, should a person focus on a particular field where he's interested while interning, or should he just explore his options more?
Depends again. See, if you want to get into litigation, that is a simple domain. If you want to get into, say, corporates, you know what kind of firms are going to be there or offices are going to be there that deal with corporates. If you want to get into judiciary, go to places where you can learn and also read a lot so that you are, on the other hand, appearing and learning how to prepare for the judicial exams. सो जहाँ पे आप पढ़ोगे, जहाँ पे आपके जर्नल नॉलेज, लीगल नॉलेज बढ़ती जाएगी, वहाँ पे आप बेटर कर लोगे. So basically, you need to choose that. And as far as the field is concerned, choosing a particular domain in law is difficult in the very beginning. It is with time that the number of cases that start coming to you become your specialty.
Okay. So, we have seen often that people prefer judicial internships. They think that when you're sitting there, you can learn more. And then the second aspect is when you're interning under a lawyer, you can learn how to draft it. So, what's better? Where can you get more
See,
perspective
at both
of
the
the
places
case?
you're going to learn. The difference is on the judicial internships, you are learning how to give a judgment on a neutral side of it. How the judges preferably try to interpret things. When you're with a lawyer, you know how to do the antemortem and postmortem. So, specifically, if you're with a trial lawyer, he will do the antemortem also and then do the postmortem also of the case and then present it. Whereas judges give a decision. So it is one of the justices only said this line that the defense and the prosecution both know what the trial is about and they know what the decision is also. It is only the judge who's at trial. I know what my client's up to. You know what your client has done. In the end, it is the judge who's deciding who's right or wrong. So, the judge's job is more difficult as compared to just writing down things. The judge's job is about analyzing a neutral point of view and deciding who's right or in whose favor the decision has to be. So that makes the difference.
What are the most common mistakes that you've seen, your other interns under you, or when you were interning me? Like, what were the mistakes that were made by you, or you've seen that people make those mistakes that
See,
should not be
people do
done?
that now also. People think that the lawyer who's sitting on the chair is stupid enough and does not know that you've copied it from somewhere. And they also think that they're smart enough to fool the lawyer. So they would sometimes pick up papers which are already published. They would do research papers of somebody else. So we get to know that it is not a well-hearted research at times. So you should just, even if you're going to give a 5-page thing in place of 10-page thing, give it which is truthfully yours and which is hopefully correct. Don't just focus on giving it as fast as possible. Give quality work. Second is people try to make very silly, excuses going to the not for not going to the office. Be honest with the lawyer. He'll understand. If your parents are coming at the place where you're interning or the city you're interning in, he will not mind giving you an off. So basically, why lie? कि सिर बुखार हो गया है. you know don't make silly dialogue because they also like teachers. The lawyers you're interning under are you're not the only one who's interned. They've got interns of all walks from life. So they know कि ठीक है आज ये बहाना आने वाला है. कल ये बहाना हो जाएगा. So it becomes a habit and it basically makes a bad image of yours. So maybe कल को जब आप जॉब के लिए जा रहे हो, प्लेसमेंट के लिए जा रहे हो, एंड आपके सीवी में लिखा हुआ है आई इंटर्न एट सो एंड सो प्लेस, and that person you are going to get employment as knows this person, they might call up and ask, so that does matter at times. But whenever you are out for internship, you should know that if 20% of masti you want to do, you should at least learn 60%. 20% तो बीच में रह ही जाता है. मतलब 100% आप नहीं दे सकते किसी भी इंटर्नशिप को, बिकॉज आपके अंदर वो मेच्योरिटी उस टाइम पे नहीं होती है. फोर्थ फिफ्थ ईयर में आके आप मेच्योर होने लगते हो तो आपको समझ आता है कि भाई अब और 4 महीने के अंदर आई विल बी अ लॉयर, माय रजिस्ट्रेशन विल हैपन, हाउ वुड आई डू थिंग्स. So that time you learn, but you should give your best to the internships so that you can learn out of it.
Did you ever make an excuse on an internship?
Frankly speaking, I did not make an excuse as internship because when I was interning, we had a very clear directive that if you're not well, inform one day prior, and we will not want you to come because we don't want you to, half-heartedly work. We want 100% in the work. In both the internships, I was lucky that ways. Two main internships of litigation that I did. As far as excuses are concerned, you don't make excuses in a way where you love doing a particular thing. Now, I started loving litigation, going to those internships. So I rather wanted excuses to stay more in the library than to go off the internship. So generally Saturdays and Sundays, Saturdays were working at times, we were working on Sundays also, but I never felt it that way. कि कोई बहुत ज्यादा मतलब दुनिया खत्म हो जाएगी अगर मैं संडे को नहीं सोऊंगा तो.
What is that advice you would like to give to the interns? Something, a very valuable thing you learned that you should do this in your internship. This is very important if you want to
यार
be a good
सीखो,
lawyer.
मतलब अगर कोई तुम्हें ये बोल रहा है ना कि फाइल पढ़ो तो पढ़ लो उसको. If somebody is telling you go to the court and submit this slip there, do that also. That is not useless. You might get to know how to get a certified copy going to the court. You will get to see how the court works. There are times when you go to the court to submit something or to apply for something, you see how the court's functioning. You might get to know how people react, how the court practically works, how getting a certified copy is more difficult than getting a judgment out of the court. So you learn a lot of practical things. And another thing is, do not get into anything which is not suiting you. If you think you are being abused in any manner, whether that is mentally or physically, just report it. You do not have to, compromise your integrity and yourself just for a certificate.
Uh, there's a certain hierarchy when we move to internships. Like first you should do in NGOs, then district court, then high court, and then, under firms. Should a person follow that or they can directly intern under, firms, let's say?
See, depends again, if you want to learn, I tell anybody and everybody before you want to work in the High Court, you should see the trial court practice. Once you know the trial court practice, High Court practice looks easy to you. And Supreme Court practice also looks easy to you because you are arguing only. The procedure comes down to a certain extent. It's the filing and the arguments. You are not doing cross examinations in High Court. You are not doing, witness testimonies in Supreme Court as such. You are just doing and interpreting the laws in both of these courts. So basically, trial court has got its own charm and it teaches you much more than other courts. Now, when you learn these things in these courts, in the trial courts or in the lower courts, you learn that how you shape a case. It is the sculpture of the case which is made in the trial courts. So that is important. So you should always try to intern at trial courts. And after that, give it a chance. Mostly trial court lawyers have few cases which are in the high court. So you might get to go to the high court also. Just to get a picture, you do not need to waste your time. Because see, in the high courts, when most of the times the casuists do not reach, so you are not able to witness much at times. In the Supreme Court, see, going to that level of interpretation needs a lot of knowledge.
Mm.
So you first need to get to that level. Maybe in your fourth year, fifth year, you should go to the Supreme Court. So, and third, fourth year should be kept for litigation or corporates, whatever it is. So that is how you can decide. So firms का मतलब क्या होता है? Firms is not going to always be a very big firm. Firm could be a chamber which is working as a firm or registered as a firm. So it depends. Anywhere where you are able to learn is a good place to intern.
Uh, how many internships did you do? Like
A
basically.
total of 5 internships I did,
Okay.
out of which one internship was approximately 1.5 years long, another one was 1 year long. So these were those internships. Whenever I had holidays, say on Saturday, Sunday, I used to go on the office hours, that is 10 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise, after college, I used to go. So basically that is how I did my internships and my 6 weeks वाला जो फंडा होता है 12 weeks वाला internships का वो पूरा हो गया था. उसके अलावा I did some online research internships, but they were just for my purpose that I should know how to research. So they were online in nature at that particular time also.
Do online internships actually help you? Like I've seen many ads of online internships, and I've seen people say that those were of no use, basically.
See, depends. We run two kinds of internships. One are offline internships and one are online internships. In online internships, we generally take people from first year so that they can learn how to research. We give them a certain format of research paper writings. We give them certain ideas how to write an article and then try to publish them so that they get some exposure to it. But more than first year students, I do not really want people to do online internships in my firm at least. Because in online internship, you do not get that kind of exposure. You are not able to visit the course. And the person who's in office is going to get more work than you. So the person who's physically present is going to learn much more.
So while I was interning, while I was in first year, many lawyers that I went to would say that no, we do not take first year learners. Is that a thing that
See,
majorly
we
first year
take first
learners?
year learners. It is not like that we do not take first year learners. But generally, people feel that first year people are not having the legal knowledge for the time being. But what I personally feel is that anybody who has got the go in them might learn easily and might be an asset to you. So, depends. Some people do not take it because they feel कि why waste time on teaching someone. Some people do take them so that they can mentor them and make them good lawyers. So, it is not that there is a written law that first years cannot apply for internship or people don't take them. People do take first year people as interns.
But as we've generally seen, the NGOs or like Dalsa Salsa, that's where first years are majorly interning.
See, that is what the colleges have told them to do. It is not that first years do not come. I have had a lot of people in first year who had come and they were helping me very much in drafting. They had gone to courts also, and they started loving litigation at that particular point of time. So it is not that first years do not come. First years do come, but certainly they are not that well read at that particular point of time. But when I was in first year, I was also not that well read. It is not anything alien to the procedure.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add to this internship illusion? That intern in these many offices and that. Anything
Just
else?
intern at few places and intern with quality. That's all I can say.
Is it possible to intern while you're studying, like after college hours? Does it
I
get really
did that.
hectic for some
I did
people?
it.
It might get hectic for some people. I think it was good for you,
Depends.
based on the interest.
मतलब interest भी है. Second is what you're doing in college. You're doing the same thing practically in that office. So you are able to learn the law. ठीक है, learn the law. You also know the case laws that are going on. You know the practical aspects of it. And then learning these practical things will help me the day I graduate. So it helps. And another option is you can also intern long term in research with the place you were interning already, so that you are doing it from home. And during your exams, you tell them that my exams are going on, so for the time being, I'll not be able to contribute.
Okay. My grandfather always used to say, like he does till now, that the main learning hours in an internship are after 5. Like that's when you get to know what's actually going. Like till 5, you do the daily work. After that, you get new files. Majorly, the lawyers get free and
Not really new files, but it is the time when the lawyers actually sit and discuss what's going to happen, how they're going to draft. You will see generally me also sitting in office till 9 o'clock after 5 when most of the people are gone. And I tell people if you stay after 5 and that is the time you might learn the tricks of the trade and how I argue or learn because that is when I read the most. But that is the time when people want to go home the most
yeah,
because so that is why there are very few people who are able to learn it. It is as simple as that.
all right. So I think those were the questions till now. Is there anything else that you would like to add to the
Not really.
internship?
It looks good to me.
Okay. So, as you know, internships aren't perfect. They're part of the journey. Some teach you skills, some teach you patience, and some teach you how to survive awkward office lunches. Thanks to everyone. I guess we'll end it here. We have learned a lot from our internships, and I think the basic was take your internship seriously, intern seriously, and that's how you'll be a good lawyer.